Hi, today we are reviewing the books that I've read for the first quarter of 2022. So that's January, February, and March. Not really reviewing, but more like I'm commenting on it. I've read 27 books in January, 32 books in February, and 11 for March. Please be warned that there are spoilers here. First book that I finished this year is You Deserve Each Other. This is the best rom-com I've read so far. It's about a couple, an engaged couple to be specific. Basically, they don't want to get married anymore. It's kind of Home Alone-ish how they try to sabotage each other. It's a fun read, but there are times or there are scenes in the book where it felt so deep and personal because it mentions of anxiety, self-worth, and such. I'm a bit sensitive about that, so it was heart-wrenching for me. But it's a great book. So there you go. Next is Josh and Hazel's Guide to Not Dating. I personally did not like this. This is my first Christina Lauren book. The male lead, Josh, he's Korean American, and his Korean name is Jimin. I didn't know anything about the authors before. Yes, Christina Lauren are two people, Christina and Lauren. Their pen name is a mash of their two names together. When I found out that Josh's name is Jimin, I thought that the author or one of the authors must be a BTS stan. I have nothing against BTS. I'm a fan of BTS. I can personally see 3 of their light sticks from where I'm sitting. I'm a fan. I've been to their concerts, but reading the book just felt like it's a fan fiction of some sorts. It's just, it felt icky for me for that sole reason alone. So, next is The Silent Patient. Oh my gosh. My first mystery book of the year. It was such a fun read. It's such a fun read. Heavy theme of psychology as the main character is a psycho... What is he? The main character is a psychotherapist. Plot is so 9 out of 10. 9 out of 10. It's not 10 out of 10 because I was able to figure out what the story is about, how it concludes. So that's me patting my own back there. But it's so good. It's so good, I promise you. Next is Priest. Oh boy. How do we say this? People said that this is spicy, and I guess it is. It's technically erotica, and if you're wondering why Priest is the title, it's because it's about a priest, not the underage type. Perfectly legal adults, both of them. I listened to the audiobook for this. It's my first audiobook too. I guess I didn't like the narration. I'm into audio role plays, or not much of a podcast fan, but as long as it's not narration, I'm good with it. But since it is, I didn't enjoy it. But I guess the spice is okay. It's not too extreme for me. At least I know people would disagree, but the audiobook just killed it for me. I think you can think about Andrew Scott from Fleabag for this. Just a hot priest.
Just fucking tell me what to do, Father.
Kneel.
What?
Kneel. Just kneel.
next book is The Fastest Way to Fall, and honestly, I didn't like these either. Honestly, I hated this one for two reasons. One, it feels like I'm invading someone else's privacy because of their email exchange, text exchange. I can't remember if it was in a screenshot format. I really hope it's not and it's just my brain messing with me, but I didn't like that. Two, the book triggered me. The female lead is a very confident woman. Good for her. Go get it, bestie. I just don't understand why. I've read books about heroines that are also confident with their body, but this one triggered me a lot. And it triggered my ED so many times. The character, the way she's written, feels like she's forcing herself to like herself. I can't remember if it was like that or if she's 100% confident with her skin, but it was hard for me to finish the book because of it. So yeah, I didn't like that. Next is Second First Impressions by Sally Thorne, the author for The Hating Game, and I honestly don't remember anything about this book aside from there's a character that wants to open his tattoo shop. That's about it. Not a good impression for me. First, second, or whatever impression didn't felt like anything. Next is another romance book by Maise, the author for Marriage for One, which I really, really liked. It's to love Jason Thorne. It's about Olive and Jason, who are childhood friends because Jason is Olive's older brother's best friend. Okay, they got separated when they were younger because Jason had to move out of town to a different city, and then later on he becomes an actor, and Olive is now a successful published author, and she has just got news that they want to produce her novel into a movie in which Jason will star. But the thing is, she wrote the novel thinking about Jason. That was really cute. Makes me giddy all the time. The next one is a sequel for that. Technically a sequel. It's about Olive's best friend Lucy, and it's to hate Adam Connor. Adam Connor is Jason and Olive's neighbor, and you know how it is in, I don't know, maybe that's how it is in real life in Hollywood. Celebrities are next door neighbors. Adam Connor is also an actor, and apparently he's very hot because of how Olive and Lucy fangirl over him. He's a single dad. One day Lucy was staying in Olive and Jason's house, and they met in a very peculiar way, and then they started hating each other because of it. But the end is so cute. I think I like the spice more in this one. Both books are amazing. Next is Evil Under the Sun. Where is it? First Agatha Christie book of this year. Honestly, so great. Everything Agatha Christie is just so great. I personally think that this should be the next movie in the Kenneth Branagh Agatha Christie cinematic universe, the one where he plays Poirot, and apparently he also directed. I think this should be the next one. It's a great, great book. I didn't know what was happening most of the time. Great mystery. We have Hooked next, and I even got a signed copy. She's so cute. How do I explain why I like this book? Well, it really got me hooked. I started reading this supposedly during my 15-minute break, and I ended up not working the whole day after. It's so fun to read. Emily McIntire, the author, did say that this is not a retelling of fairy tales because this is a series. This one is based, not really based, but inspired, I guess, from Peter Pan. This one obviously is about Captain Hook. The next one after this is Scarred, which is from Lion King, and then the next one is Wretched, about the Wicked Witch of the West, I think. But honestly, I'm not a fan of female leads who are fucking useless. I don't like the damsel in distress types, but the decision that the female lead made here by the end of the book makes it all so worth it. I think that's the reason why I read this book. It's just for that reason alone. Well, not reason alone, but one of the reasons why I bought this. It's just so good. So good. Also, James is our Captain Hook here. Just imagine Killian Jones in Once Upon a Time. That's who I was thinking about while reading that. Next one, I have a script here. Next one is Daisy Jones and the Six. Oh, Jesus Christ. I'll go off cam for this because I will... There's so much hatred in me. I hate this fucking book with all my life. I fucking hate this book. I want to say that that's all I can say about this. But I have a lot of things to say about this. I didn't like the book format. It's a transcript type of book, written like an interview, so I didn't enjoy that. And also, I don't understand how people say that this is the right person, wrong time kind of thing. The male lead is married. Daisy Jones is a homewrecker. Might as well say that to all people who ruin people's marriages. I hate how the author romanticizes that kind of thing between the two characters when we know the main lead's journey. Like the moment he dated his to-be wife for the first time, how he asked her hand for marriage, how they had sex even. How they found out that they were having a kid and how they fixed their marriage because of his addiction and how they'd have twins, etc., etc. Only for people to fall in love with a line that says, you know, they're in love just by looking at them or some shit like that. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? You don't romanticize cheating and let people be married. And it's not the type of, it's not like their marriage is a wreck to begin with. They were in a healthy relationship. The wife is very supportive. The guy also says that he loves his wife. So what the fuck? I just don't understand that. So I hated this book so much with all my heart. Okay, next book is Twice Shy, and this is honestly a breather. It's about two people who fight over a land inheritance. It's like there's a land and there's a house. It's a big parcel of land, so they're fighting over it. Will they punch each other for sure, or will they do something about it, like peacefully? Both of the characters are so softly written, they're so pure, and if I have to describe this book with a color, I'd say it's color white. That's how pure they are. They're just so cute together. Oh, Kulti. Kulti is another Mariana Zapata book. One of the authors I like personally, to be honest. I like this. It was a fun read. The development of the characters, amazing. Sal, our female lead, she's a big fan of Kulti. Kulti is a professional soccer player. He is like 12 or 13 years her senior, as in she likes him. She had posters of Kulti on her wall when she was a kid, and he's an inspiration, and now he is her coach. The reason, though, that it's not on my bookshelf or in my cart is because of this one particular scene where Sal was thinking about the women Kulti dated before her and his ex-wife, because Kulti was married. She said something along the lines of, I don't like those bitches. She was thinking about it, but she immediately did say, oh, that's wrong, I shouldn't be thinking something like that. So it's a wrong thing to think about. It's not nice like that. She did redeem herself pretty quickly, as she know that what she was thinking was wrong, but I didn't like that part. I still think about it sometimes. If it's worth not buying the book just for that line, because I know as a human too that I think about bad things sometimes and then realize that, oh, that's not a good thing to think about. Now that I think about it, I think it's just a reflection of how humans think sometimes. So maybe I will buy the book. This spice is pretty good too. I mean, there's only one spice scene. I sometimes think about the lines that, You know, the things that happened during that scene specifically. So nice. The next books are a trilogy. It's a good girl's guide to murder. It's a great read. Personally, I'm not a big fan of long mysteries. I prefer them to be standalones, like Agatha Christie's books. The first book out of the series I liked. Yes, the second one, not so much. The third, I wanted to like it, but the ending made me not like it. That's all I can say about that. The next one, oh my god, I love this one. It's the Mindf series. It has 5 books, technically, but they're all short. And the reason why I started reading this is because of the concept. Ta-da! What is the concept, you say, Lena? Our female protagonist is a serial killer. Her boyfriend, Logan, he's an FBI agent, and he is looking for said serial killer. There is mystery, but that's not the main theme. I started reading it one night, and it got me so hooked, so good, that I dreamt about it. And I think that was the cue for me to start reading it again. Just wake up, read it, finish it. That was it. Poirot investigates. So, I've said before that anything Agatha Christie is worth a read. It's part of this huge book. It's just, this book is a compilation of short stories because Poirot investigates is a collection of short stories. So this is a collection of a collection of short stories. So if you are looking for short mysteries to read, try it. Okay. The next one is my favorite. The first book that I've given 5 stars to this year is Beach Read. Ow! I love this book with my whole heart. This is my precious. I've already read this twice, just 10 days apart. And I don't usually write on books. If I do it with a pencil, or I stick sticky notes and then write on it. But look at this book. It just means that I have no plan of letting this go. Can you see it? It's just full of highlights, full of notes, like this. And that's Logan Lerman, because I am manifesting that if this were to be made into a movie, he'd play Augustus Everett, please. He fits the character, please. I took this book way too seriously. It even has tear marks because I was crying the whole time I was reading this. Next book is Midnight Sun. Yes, the Edward Cullen Twilight. To be honest, I enjoy the first part, like the first half of the book, where we just don't know anything about Twilight yet, because the first part of the book, or not first half, but like 1/4 of the book, we just really didn't know anything about it because it's not in Bella's perspective, since Twilight is in Bella's perspective. The rest, it got so boring. I didn't really see the point of writing Twilight all over again. I wish Stephanie Meyer would just have, I don't know, written the parts of the books that we don't know, like, again, Edward's perspective before Bella arrived in Forks, or maybe make it into a series or a compilation of Edward's perspective, especially when he left in New Moon. That makes so much sense than rewriting Twilight all over again. It's basically the same thing. Why write it again? But this book made me realize that Emmett is my favorite Cullen, and now that I'm older, since I've read the Twilight series when I was in high school, Edward Cullen really is, he's fucking creepy. 108-year-old white male climbing over a 17-year-old's window and watching her sleep. I read Stalker Romance, and I have that here. This is something stalkerish, but Jesus fucking Christ. A century-year-old gap? Doesn't matter if he looks like he's 15 or, 17. Still doesn't work. He's just so creepy. I think I would have forgiven the book if they're both like the same age, but they're not. He only looks physically a teen. He's like really old, and he's aware of it. Okay, the next books are classics. Alice in Wonderland and The Little Prince. Okay, I don't think I have to elaborate why these are good books because they're classics and everybody likes it. These are also the last books that I've read for January. So first for February is Be Still My Heart. It's written by Emily McIntire, the author for Hooked, and Sav R. Miller, the author for Promises and Pomegranates, Monsters and Muses series. I'll get back to this later. The book is good. I like the spice personally. I really did. But the reason why it's not in my shelf or in my cart is because of the plot. It's a good plot, but as a Filipino, I didn't enjoy it. It's more of a culture thing. I did say there's spoilers here, but spoilers. The female lead has amnesia, and in Filipino media, that's so cliche. Next is Dear Bridget, I Want You. Oh, it's not here because I didn't like it. Why? If you like hot doctors and single mom tropes, you'll like this. Maybe. Our female lead, Bridget, she got widowed because her husband got into an accident and died. But as usual, they are guilty for wanting to wed again because they don't think they can replace their spouse. Everything's just too convenient. How did she move on with the guilt? This is how. Her husband died, right? From a car accident. But the twist, I guess, is ding ding ding, he was cheating. And how did he get into the accident? His mistress was giving him a blowjob. Yeah, they were getting real freaky while driving, so they ended up in a car accident. And truth be told, they deserve that. Well, the mistress didn't die. I hope she did too. That was just stupid. Why would you give a blowjob while the driver's driving? Like, park that shit. It's a cheap way of getting the plot done and move forward. It's just, I didn't like that. But something about this though is that she's a fan of spicy novels, and then there's this scene where the doctor or the love interest was like, read that for me. Like, do I like that? Anyway, yeah. Next is Me Cute. It is in the book. It's really cute. Our two cutie patootie lawyers. They're lawyers. They met in law school, and then they're kind of rivals there. They explain why they were rivals, but it's mostly just the female lead thinking that they're rivals, but the male lead not so much. They kind of have feelings for each other. They just didn't have the chance to express it. It's so adorable. And funny thing is, the next book that I've read after Meet Cute is called A Not So Meet Cute. I don't think I like that much, but A Not So Meet Cute has good spice. This is a funny book too, not gonna lie. It's a good rom-com, although not as good, I think, as You Deserve Each Other. This is a fake dating trope, more of like fake engaged couple trope, and they were also faking the fact that they're expecting a baby. It's just so funny. The next book is 99% Mine, another book by Sally Thorne. And you know what they say, third time's the charm. The Hating Game, the first Sally Thorne book that I've read. I hated it. I didn't like the way Lucy gets mad over Josh for rejecting her offers for sex, because you don't get mad over consent. That's just not it. And the second book, which is Second First Impressions, did not leave any impressions for me. It's super boring and I don't remember anything about it. And lastly, this one, finally, a decision to make. I'm not reading anything from Sally Thorne anymore. I fucking hate this book too. So the story is our female lead, she has a twin, right? And they're fighting over this guy's friendship. There's this female lead, the twin, and then this guy. And then they're fighting over him. Like, just be friends? Like, what's the point of fighting each other? Also, the character or the female lead, I support women who are very open to their sexuality and how they're into sex. If they enjoy it, if they flaunt it, go girl. Get it, bestie. Go get that bread. But if it's the character's only personality, it's just... why? That's so boring. Make the character that and then other things. Not just... don't make sex her entire personality. That's so boring as a character. There's a lot of comments where she's like, every time I see him, my knickers drop. What the fuck? Okay, the next one is another classic. It's The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. The other two classics that I mentioned earlier, I was reading because I was looking for something short to read, and that's what I did with this one too. It's short, very short, and it's a quick read, and it's a classic. But I think if this was written in the modern times, this was published This was published in the 1800s. Stevenson is best known for two books that fall into entirely different genres: Treasure Island, 1883, and The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, 1886. This is fucking old. If you don't know the story, which I'd be surprised that you don't, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde are one person. And in this story, I think sci-fi maybe is a new genre back then. Dr. Jekyll becomes Mr. Hyde because of a serum he drank once. Yeah. If this was written or made in the modern times, I'd bet that Dr. Jekyll is diagnosed with DID, dissociative identity disorder, or once known as multiple personality disorder, just like Split, or I guess Moon Knight too. What else? A lot. If you're just looking for a classic to read, this is a read. Next, we have another classic, and it's 1984. If you haven't read this yet, please read it. It's really creepy. Not in a horror type of way, but it's creepy that this was written post-World War II, based on George Orwell, the author, based on George Orwell's views of the possible future. So this was published 1949, and he was writing about years after, like how many years? 35 years into the future. That's his view of what would happen, or like at least in his imagination that would happen. What makes it creepy is that a lot of things in this book are still relevant until today. Like how we're being watched, how we're being manipulated one way or another, and usually by the media, and even newspeak, which is a term coined by Orwell himself. And it's basically a language so simplified, it's so fucking dumb. For example, good means good, but the opposite of good is not bad, but ungood. That's 2 syllables. Bad is just bad. Ungood is 2. That's longer. It's ridiculous. I had trouble sleeping after finishing this, but it's good. So good. Next is Fight or Flight. It's written by Samantha Young, and I have a lot of feelings in for this book. I know that a lot of readers have an issue with the male lead. He was married once and got a divorce. So basically, she got pregnant by him, and she aborted the fetus without telling him anything. So she didn't tell him that she was pregnant and that she was gonna abort the baby. I'm pro-choice. Whatever you want to do with your body, go for it. But I think the issue here is, well, after that was kind of traumatizing for the male lead because he didn't know anything about it, and he only knew about it because someone told him, and it wasn't even the wife, it was their mutual friend, and he was just so shocked that everything happened. Like, he had no idea he was going to be a father, and then that at that time his wife was already celebrating. His MO now is to treat pretty girls like shit, so he'd be attached to them, like they'd have spicy activities going on, and then he'll just leave them. Like, he wants to torture them, like, emotionally of some sorts or something like that. So the issue is, people are saying that he shouldn't be offended for what his wife has done because that's not his body, and I get that. You have a point. But my thought about it is, he was the husband. He kind of had the right to know, at the very least. If the wife didn't want to have kids and he was pursuing or pushing her to have one, I'd say just tell him. And if he doesn't agree that you should be having an abortion, divorce him, or at least just tell him at some point and then get the abortion or something, or whatever you want to do. The wife was also described as someone who's very narcissistic and very self-centered in order for the reader to hate her. But, yeah. I just like the part where they met at an airport and a flight. That's my kind of meet cute. Next is it's not a trilogy, it's more of a standalone, but there are characters who are related to each other, so I'd still say it's a trilogy. The marriage game, the dating plan, and the singles table. What the fuck is happening outside? Okay, the books are so for me. I'm really happy with the books and the representation it delivers for our South Asian friends and their culture. I'm not sure how good of a representation it has, but the entire time I was reading it, I was just craving for their food, and I'd have the understanding of their family dynamics and their culture. It was a great read. It's just this story was not it for me, but I think the representation is cool. Next is the games we play. honestly, I like this. I'm gonna hide for the rest of the duration of this book comment. I like the whole concept of it. Other than that pet name the main guy used, everything about it I really liked. It's just please don't judge me. Thank you. The next one is a sequel to this book, which is Secrets We Play. Yeah, Secrets We Play. I didn't like it that much. I'm not into femdom because this is basically an erotica, and as well as a sequel. Next is, oh my god, the Romance Book Club. So good. This book is amazing. It's about Gavin and his wife, Thea. Thea wants to get a divorce, and Gavin is doing everything he can to save their marriage with the help of his bros and romance books. The Lobotomist Wife. Not really great. It's good. I appreciate it solely for the reason that it has psychology as the main theme, since they're lobotomists. There's a lot of psychology people that I know. Well, not personally because most of them are dead, but I studied them in school. I don't know, the turning point in the story is not that it's not well written, at least for me. It's too short-lived, and that was basically it. Next is The Fine Print by Lauren Asher. This is my first Lauren Asher book. It's so nice. To be honest, it's boring. It felt normal and not that extraordinary until the part where Rowan, the male lead, arranged a book signing event for Zara, the female lead. It was so cute. It's just, it's fictional because that shit doesn't happen in real life. Next is Her Perfect Family. Not a fan of this. There's so many things going on and there's so much perspective. We got this perspective of the daughter, the mom, the father, the detective, the police investigator. Almost every character has a perspective and it just doesn't make sense. And also, the rest of the characters were written in third-person POV. Third POV. But the mom and the daughter were written in first POV. I think there's something there that I just didn't caught on because I just don't care. There must be a reason why it's like that. But you and your secrets can go on. I don't care. It's a messy story for me. The next two, they are a series, also written by the author of, where is it? Of the games we play. So these books are also erotica. It's Dipped in Holly and Claimed by Cupid. We have Nick, who is basically Santa Claus, like Saint Nicholas, that's why it's Nick, and Holiday. The first book, which is Dipped in Holly, was set on Christmas, and Claimed by Cupid was on Valentine's. It's perfect if it weren't for the 25-year age gap. I'm not a fan of age gaps, especially if it's something so extreme. This is by far the biggest age gap I've ever read. Well, except for Twilight, if it counts. 25 years. And it's so weird because my dad had me when he was 25. So that's the same age gap as my dad and I. So the entire time I was reading it, because I can't stop reading something once I've started it. So I just kept on reading, and the entire time I was thinking about a celebrity who's in his 50s that I find attractive. And that guy is Paul Rudd. But the thing is, Paul Rudd looks extremely young for his age. And the book explicitly describes Nick as a Santa lumberjack. Also, first, not my type. Second, I just can't. But I have to finish it. If it weren't for that, I'd say the spice scenes were great. But I can't enjoy anything of it. Because of the age gap. Yeah. Next, this is the next one. Promises and Pomegranates. Sav R. Miller and Emily McIntire are besties. She also says that this is not a retelling of Greek myths, but I don't know how else to describe it. This is, I guess, inspired by Hades and his wife Persephone. That's the entire summary of it. Next is... Next is Perfect Marriage. This is the second book that I gave 5 stars to, and I got a signed copy as well. I actually have a lot of signed copies because I also had, like this one. Where is it? This one is also signed, which is nice. And this signed with I didn't even ask for it, but there's a message, so I'm keeping this forever. So the book, it says here, his mistress is dead. His wife is his only hope. I'm not lying when I tell you that I lost sleep because of this book. I read this one calm night at 11 p.m. and ended up finishing it in, hours. I ended up sleeping 4 a.m. because I finished this. I had to. It was so good. I couldn't put it down. The wife is my hero. She really is. Okay, it says here, successful and powerful defense attorney in Washington, D.C. She's perfect. She's just amazing, and the husband is an author who I guess is under a creative block. It's in the cover, it's in the blurb. He's cheating on this perfect wife, and then just one day the mistress is found dead, and he is the prime suspect. Everything leads to him being the suspect, and everyone in this book believes that he is the suspect, and he killed the mistress. But you know what the wife did? She is gonna defend him in court. Whoa, sister. It's so heartbreaking too, because the entire thing hurts her, because you thought your husband loves you, and then the next day you find out that he's cheating and he's going to jail because of it, and there's murder involved. And I swear to God, you will not regret reading this. Promise, it's so worth it. Please read this. Next is Good as Dead. This is another book with a whole lot of perspective going on, but I think that this works more than the other one. The story is more aligned, and how it concludes makes more sense. Yeah, next, Vipers and Virtuosos, the sequel to Promises and Pomegranates. I think most of the readers would agree that the lotion scene is pretty. I honestly like the tattoo scene too. I want to experience that because I have tattoos. Like, I have some, and that scene was so nice. Next is Dear Aaron, another Mariana Zapata book, but like The Fastest Way to Fall, it's more of email exchange and text exchange, but I think this worked out more because of the story and how it was told. This is so slow burned that nothing happened until the 95%, until we're at the 95% mark of the book. It's so cute though, because Ruby, our female lead for this one, is the sister of Jasmine Santos, which is the heroine from Look with Love. So there are Jasmine Santos reference there because, well, they're sisters. Next is The Sweetest Oblivion. Honestly, what the fuck is this book? I can't with this book. I hate that there aren't any reasons for the main leads to like each other aside from they find each other attractive. Other than that, there aren't anything more. That's just it. They find each other hot and they want a bone. Next is The Maddest Obsession. It's the sequel to The Sweetest Oblivion, but this one makes more sense because the characters actually like each other for many different reasons other than they're both hot. I think all romance characters are hot, because why wouldn't they be? Yeah, I like this more. They have depth. Sweetest Oblivion was so shallow for only liking their faces and their bodies. And the sequel for this is The Darkest Temptation, which I will comment another book. I think this is a 2-in-1 comment. The Darkest Temptation and Stolen Air, which is a sequel for The Brutal Prince, which I will be commenting later on. I am commenting these books at once because they're basically the same book. The same fucking story. Mafia things, girl gets kidnapped, they fall in love, Beauty and the Beast kind of thing. But I personally like Stolen Air more because of the heroine. Again, she's so cool. The leads for The Darkest Temptation, well, they know each other's languages, so that was kind of boring for me. The Stolen Air though, the guy is Polish and the girl doesn't know anything Polish, but ever since she got kidnapped, she had the chance to study Polish. And then there's just one scene where the guy was like, wait, you understand Polish? Like, you've been studying Polish this entire time that I've kidnapped you in my house? How can you know Polish? It's just, yeah, she knows Polish, dude. She's smart. It is just so great. Yeah, they're basically the same kidnapping mafia story. Next is My Dark Vanessa. Okay, I had this in my to-be-read list, TBR, but I wasn't planning on reading it until a friend of mine recommended it to me. That she said that you should read this too, and I did. I didn't regret reading it, but now I'm disturbed permanently. I think it's full of disturbing scenarios. Basically, this book is about Vanessa. She was dating someone old, right? And she's groomed, basically, but she doesn't think that she was. She'd repeatedly say that it's everything they did together was consensual. Well, I get you're a kid and that person shouldn't be doing anything with you. Of course, you'd say that it's consensual and it's entirely okay. But psychologically, is it really okay? As readers, though, we're made known that there are things that they did together she wasn't really 100% comfortable with. But the thing is, she is, again, being manipulated to thinking that whatever they're doing is good and that it's gonna be okay. So there's that. The next book is another Mariana Zapata book, which is All Roads Lead Here. And I think that's very cute because the entire time I was reading it, you know how Chris Evans looks like in Infinity War? That's how I imagine Rhodes. Big guy with facial hair who is actually soft but looks grumpy on the outside. It's just so cute. It's a single dad trope too. It's just so cute. But the reason why it's not here or in my card, because of his pet name towards our female lead, he calls her Angel. Not so bad, right? But he also calls her Buddy. That kills it. So, yeah. Next. Twisted Love. Not much to say about this. Utterly annoying. I don't see the point of this superpower. I'm saying that. It's giving me fanfiction-y Wattpad vibes. Not a fan. Next book is Do Not Disturb. This is a short suspense story that got me feeling annoyed the entire time I was reading it. There's a couple of perspectives in this story too. It's okay enough to get me hooked and finish the entire story, but it's basically just... The next book is Brutal Prince. Probably the best mafia-themed book I've read so far. Again, just because of the heroine. She's very useful, she's smart. She is the exact opposite of a damsel in distress. She is so badass. I love her for it. Next book is Battle Royale. I bought this book, well, more like somebody bought this book for me in 2014. It says here, it's January 31st, 2014. And 8 years later, I finally finished it. Yay! It's not like it took me 8 years to finish it. It's more like I read until this much and then forget that I'm actually reading it. But this year, finally, I had the chance to finish it. I'm a fan of the series. Well, not the series, but I watched the movie when I was in high school. Kind of obsessed with it. My friends and I were able to watch this first before Hunger Games was the thing. So personally, I was not a fan of Hunger Games months after, until I've given it a chance. And then I was able to read the manga, which I was not also able to finish because young me couldn't take the brutal scenes. It's just too gory and the scenes are very explicit. They really show it in the drawing. But I guess I'll finish that also this year. This is the source material for the movie and the manga, so I think I have a reference the entire moment, or the entire time I was reading it, I had visuals already in my head. So, also there's not much difference between the novel and the manga, the novel and the movie. Yeah, it's great. It's great. If you're a fan of the Hunger Games, it's great. You'll like this too, I feel like. We have, what is next? Every Last Secret. Oh yeah, okay. If I had a physical copy of this book, I'd burn it. It was so annoying to read. Heavy theme of infidelity, and there's just this one specific woman who is just like one of. That's my comment. The next book is Final Girl Support Group. If you're not familiar with the term Final Girl, they are basically the girls or the girl that is the sole survivor of a slasher film. So, for example, we have Sydney from Scream. She's the final girl. And Lindsay Lohan's mom from Freaky Friday. She's in Halloween. She's a final girl there. So there are examples. Okay, so for this book, trope is there are a group of final girls who are getting therapy. So they're the support group, I think, like AA. Well, they're acquaintances. Not exactly, all of them are not exactly friends. But there's a serial killer who's after these final girls. So that will make you think that how will they survive? If all of them are final girls already, who would be the final girl? I like the concept. That's why I got the book. But how it's written, it's kind kind of dragging. I feel like there are some scenes that were unnecessary for this story. It's just my comment. It's just, if it were an anime, there'd be a lot of filler episodes. Next is Underlock, another Mariana Zapata book. And out of all of her books, I think this was the least slow burn. It's a fast burn. There were intimacy by like 30% to 50% of the book, and that's just, hold your horses there. That's too fast. I don't like the male lead though. He's too grumpy for my liking. I'd punch him in the face if I know him personally. This one is my first love triangle story if we don't count Twilight. The Black Swan Affair. So we have characters, right? We have the girl, the older brother, and the younger brother. The girl likes the older brother, but the older brother marries her sister. And the younger brother has feelings for our main girl, and main girl ends up marrying younger brother. But then the story is whack. Turns out both brothers have feelings for the girl, but like all of them are married. The thing I liked about the book is I really didn't know who she'd end up with, which brother she'd end up with. Which is kind of messy because, again, one of the brothers is married already, and she is married to one of the brothers. It's really messy, but the spice is great. It's really great, the spice. But it was really confusing, especially towards the end when the book's about to make a revelation in who she ended up with. But the thing that I can say is, she made the right choice. Next is another Mariana Zapata book, another cute story. It's The Wall of Winnipeg and Me. The trope is fake dating. Well, more fake marriage, because the guy wants to he wants to live permanently in the United States, or he's Canadian, and our main girl, well, obviously she's an American, so they fake dated. They're married, fake. They're fake married because of it, because he wants his green card. There's this scene, though, that is the entire reason why I'm not getting this book. Aiden is an athlete, so he's big, he's bulky, and he has meat in some parts of his body. Well, athletes. There's this scene where he was posing with some of the fans because they asked him to have a picture with them, and our female lead is the one who's taking pictures, and then he was posing with them, and this fan, he just squeezes his ass. It was made clear that he's uncomfortable with it, and she made a joke all about it. I mean, I don't care if you're fake dating, fake whatever. I wouldn't even wish that if I had an enemy. I wouldn't even wish that for them to be sexually assaulted. Like, at least defend your man. SA is not a joke. So I hated that. Next is, oh my fucking god, okay. Next book is If You Tell. I have a lot of feelings for this. This is my first true crime novel, and I swear to never read true crime again. I would devour true crime in other media formats. Series, films, maybe even podcasts, not books. Because honestly, this book was so tiring to read. This is the entire reason why I only had 11 books finished for the month of March, because it was so hard to read. Not because it was disturbing. I mean, it should be because it's true crime after all, but if you've watched my other videos, I'm a fan of crime, mystery, suspense, and like that. But it was hard to read because it's so repetitive. Like, every single chapter is just a variation of some sort of the previous chapter. Which makes sense, because you know that this explains well that the abuse and the violence is repetitive as well in real life. And it goes on and on and on and on in real life. Just like how it does chapter by chapter by chapter. But I don't think it works well if you're writing it, or if it's meant to be read. I feel like it just gets so tiring if it's read all over again, with like the same scenarios with just different mixture of words. I don't want to do that ever again. Okay, I have 3 books left, and I'm gonna be fast. Dirty Letters. At first, I thought it was cute. In some way, it is. I don't have a deep connection with it though. Not a big fan of it. The story is basically about this guy and a girl. They were childhood friends technically because they were pen pals, and then they lost connection and then they rekindled, and that's it. That's the story. Next is another Mariana Zapata book. It is about Vanessa's best friend. Well, Vanessa is the main girl from The Winnipeg and Me, and it's about Diana, who is the best friend from the girl from The Wall of Winnipeg and Me. This is so much cuter. She is also Sal's cousin, the one from Kulti, so this is a Mariana Zapata universe that's happening. Even though both books were off for me, like Kulti and The Wall of Winnipeg and Me, this managed to be perfect. Like, the story is just, the book is just so warm, and I don't know, it's just perfect. This was perfect for me. Please read it. And the last book for the first quarter of 2022 is another Lauren Asher book, which is Throttled. This is the first book in the Dirty Air series. It's about Formula One guys, which I don't know much about. The only names that I know in the racing world are Lightning McQueen and Herbie from Herbie Fully Loaded. I really don't know anything about racing. I know how to drive. I know the game Gran Turismo. I play arcade games about racing. I know Mario Kart. That's it. I don't know anything about Formula One, but I'm now curious. This is a great book. I have reasons. One, again, our heroine. She knows what she wants in life, and she stands by her principle. Noah, our main guy, he's a fuckboy. He likes fucking around. Our main girl, she knows what she wants in life, and they went on a date once, and then the guy was just offering something casual, and she says no, and that was so revolutionary for me. And she didn't bend. Like, no, I don't want a casual relationship. I want a real relationship. She's kind of the dating to marry kind of girl. Well, that's not actually surprising. There's a lot of heroines in romance novels that are like that. I've also read about heroines that are like that, but when offered a casual relationship, they'd be okay, and then the book would end up in groveling and misunderstanding, and scenes where like the guy would be, well, I told you I can only offer something casual. Why are you expecting anything else from me? It's just that thing is so tiring. But in this one, she didn't budge at all. Like, no, I want a relationship, and if you can't offer me that, nothing's gonna happen between us. And it was so great. And then later on, Noah realizes that he likes this girl like so much. He can't stop thinking about her smile, how she's basically the sun. The thing that's adorable here is he realizes that, and he wants to get his life back on track. He realizes that his way of life is unhealthy, and he ends up getting therapy, so, to make his life better, at least one way or another. And he's from you can say, dysfunctional family. He knows that our girl deserves better, so he goes to therapy to be a better version of himself. And that was so cute because he pursues a relationship with her after therapy and after getting to know himself better, so he can offer himself as a good partner to our main girl. And that was just so adorable. It was so cute. I mean, it's like the bare minimum, but it's still so cute. That is true love, my friends. Anyway, that is the last book for the first quarter of 2022. I haven't actually finished that much this April. I plan on doing so. I think I actually have canceled my Kindle Unlimited subscription because I plan on reading everything on this shelf. if you can see. Well, you really can't see, but there's a lot of things going on here that I haven't read yet, and I plan on doing so. I will only get back to KU once I finish everything. There's a lot of it here, and from where I'm sitting, there's a lot of it there. So I have a lot of books. Great. Wish me luck. That's it. This is a long video. So many rambles. Thank you for watching. Bye.